Hey everybody, Scott Darweller here. I'm back. I was gone for a week there, a long weekend, and I'll be back for a few weeks now before I head to Portland, which is the next stop. That'll be near the end of the month, so there'll be plenty of time to get a bunch of live streams in and a bunch more videos uploaded. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. We've been working with these AI challenges, which I put as the description for this video, but it turns out they haven't released the theme yet. So rather than argue with that, what I want to do is I'm going to take a picture that I have shot in the past in Austin, and I want to apply some AI artwork to that and create something different. So this is going to be a kind of like we're starting with a photo and we're working our way through AI to end up with hybrid. So we're going to be doing some Photoshop and some heavy lifting inside of programs like that. We're going to start in Capture One, which is pretty much my main program. You can use Lightroom as well if you are a photographer. You're probably using one or the other. I'm a big Capture One fan because I call it Lightroom for grown-ups. So it's a much more advanced version of Lightroom, but it does have its difficulties. This channel is actually a big part of the Capture One community. We do a lot of Capture One on here, although recently Capture One hasn't really moved. It's been kind of stagnant in what it has done, so I haven't really done any new videos on it. We're going to play with that a bit today. Again, it smells like Lightroom. And again, if you're using your camera that is built into your phone or something similar, and you don't have a professional photo to start with, don't worry about that. It's the same process. But we're going to be using this to just do some light adjustments very easily, then go into Dream Studio, actually. So we're going to be using Dream Studio today. Since MidJourney has no method for us to upload our own photo and manipulate it, we're going to start here and work toward that. So that's the plan. Feel free to type in the comments if you have questions or things like that as we're going along here. And I'm going to move my camera to the one, well, I'll probably keep the one on the side of my face here. It's the side of my face cam, so I'll be up here. But I'm going to be looking over here most of the time. So here are some images that I shot when I was in Austin speaking down there. And I wanted to take one of these and kind of go with it and create something more fantastic. So I think one of the big battles that I have as a photographer is I have a great idea for an image, or I have a great image and I have no idea. And in this case, the AI has really stepped up and added to at least my armory of things that I can use, is the ability to use AI to give me great ideas to say, hey, here's a good photo, and it's all right. but can I use AI to take it to the next level? And that's really what I want to do today. So we're going to take a photo that I like, and we're going to try and do something fantastic with it. And I haven't practiced this. Obviously, this is just me working through my workflow. So if you enjoy watching people screw up or maybe get really dumb lucky, then you'll be able to watch what I'm going to do here. But we're going to be using Dream Studio for this. You could also use a local installation of Stable Diffusion. I may actually try and do that on here, but I'm concerned about my streaming software and that piece of software arguing with each other because it's very processor intensive. However, we may use an online service for that. I'm trying to avoid spending money on it, but at the same time, I want the video to be not choppy and you can actually hear me. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, we're going to start here. I think I like this one a lot. We're not going to do very much inside of Capture One here at all. We're just going to simply adjust the image a bit. So I'm just looking for, first of all, is it sharp? And it's not. So let's try a different image. Let's try this one. This one is sharp. Okay, let's start there. I'll probably raise the shadows a bit on this just so we have enough information later to figure out what we like or don't like about a photo. And the exposure on her skin looks a little bright. Something like this. And we'll recrop and finish it later. I just want the rough to be able to kind of run into Dream Studio with this first. And I use an export called Quick Export. It just throws it out there as a smallish JPEG that we can play with. So I'm going to do that. All right, that was the hard part. All right, now here comes the fun part. We're going to pull it into Dream Studio here. So let's, first of all, let's get this all nice and neat. It is a taller image, so I'm going to kind of adjust it that way. And I do want to just drag it in. Actually, we're going to go down here. So this is, by the way, in case I'm getting ahead of everybody, and I didn't mean to do that, we are beta.dreamstudio.ai. So this is the same people that are bringing you Stable Diffusion for free also have a paid version that is one version ahead. So 1.4 is the one you can download for free. 1.5 is the current paid version, which I'm sure at some point they'll probably give to the world as well. Remember, they don't have to do this. This is a gift. So I pay to use this service because I believe in the product and I want to see it continue development. If we all use it for free and no one makes any money, do you know what those developers go on and do? Anything else, right? They need to feed their family too. So if you enjoy AI art, you know, consider contributing to MidJourney or Dream Studio or places like that where yes, you can use it for free, but you're not really helping to pay the bills of these people. And if you want to see things move forward, you gotta help contribute. At least that's my attitude toward it. All right, so what we're going to do here is we just went into the editor down here, clicked Open Editor, and I'm just going to drag and drop that same image in here. And that's about the hard part. Now, I'm kind of going to play with these things. I obviously haven't practiced this. This is just my strategy. So here's my thought process. I'm going to probably generate like 4 different images using this as my start point, and probably like maybe 40% of the image I want it paid attention to. So the reason I picked 40 is I know that it's not linear. So 50% means that it pretty much keeps most of the original image. It's not very playful that way. It's almost like it's a curve. So 90% is damn near 100% normally. So I'm trying to pick something that's a little less than half because I feel that's going to kind of get us closer to what I'm really looking for, which is a good manipulation of the image, but yet you can still see where she is. What are we doing here? That's the fun part here. I want to try and come up with a prompt that makes sense. So I was working with, so we're going to go with elegant flower woman. I was making her out of flowers, or playing with the idea of making women out of flowers earlier, and that kind of where this started. I have some notes here. Hold on a second. In fact, I'm just going to grab the whole thing. I wanted to kind of type it in bit by bit so you could read it, but maybe it's just easier to kind of throw it all in here and then discuss it. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit here and argue with it. All right, so elegant flower woman. My strategy here is, what is an elegant flower woman? Okay, elegant is the first word, and the prompt is in order of importance. So the far left, the most important word is the word elegant, flower, and woman. So we've got in that order, those are the things that are going to be the most important. Made of flower petals. Now, I don't have to put made of, but anything I can do to kind of indicate how these are being used. Flower petals, and then too much of our flower in here. Petal flower hair. So I want her hair to be made of petal flowers. Now, again, it doesn't need to makes sense to us. It's just kind of these individual bits. I don't use commas very much because they really don't do anything. They're helpful for us to read things, but they're just noise, and they will have an effect, but that's not like if you comma separate them or don't comma separate them, it's because you did that. You can put a pile of commas at the end and probably get the same exact result. Style of Tom Bagshaw, and then some other artists here that I thought were interesting. And then at the end, I put the word dramatic light. So this, to me, is almost mandatory. Like, I like the look of the dramatically lit photos versus the flat ones. So that's kind of where we're starting. Steps is 50. I'm going to change my sampler to Euler. I find that it's quicker. Not that we care about here. We're paying the same amount of money per iteration. So we're paying 2 credits per iteration. So I'm going to spend some money here, but I want to see what this looks like. So using this as a point of departure, let's just click Dream and see what happens. Hopefully we'll get something that's usable. And what we're going to do is we're going to drag this into Photoshop at some point and start applying these. So that's the end. That's the goal here. Okay. So we have a few here. And you can tell that it's kind of starting to use a little bit more freedom than maybe perhaps we want. Maybe 40 was too low of a number. So I'm just going to grab all these and download them. Let's go back to the editor and let's crank this up a bit to 550. It was its initial guess, but I thought it was a bit too much. Let's try it again. So the goal here is to kind of take an image that we made ourselves, you know, with a camera or your phone or however you made it, and then we used AI to augment it. Not useful. Although the dress is interesting, so maybe that is. This is really where I see a lot of this AI art stuff being really practical to people that do what I do. So I'm a full-time photographer. I specialize in boudoir photography, so I shoot only women. In fact, we call guys props. If you bring a guy in, what's a guy? Well, you just lean on him, right? He's a prop. These are not wowing me. Let's change the model back to LMS and run it again. Each model gives a little bit different result. So the feel of one model will be different than the feel of another model. So if you're not sure, change the model around. Let's try one more, but let's lower it to, take it down quite a bit. Let's take it to 30. So that's going to be a lot of leeway for this thing to kind of do whatever it wants to do. If you have any thoughts, by the way, throw them in the comments. I'm just sitting here. I was going to do this by myself, but since you are around, I thought I would make it open. This one quite a bit. Interesting. Arms in the wrong spot. But again, we don't need the whole image to be perfect. Some horrible travesty happened here, but you know, I'm going to take it anyway. It's blurry because it contained nudity, or at least it thought it contained nudity. That does occur. Arms on that one. It's just fun. It's just good fun. It went horribly wrong right now. I think I'll borrow this one. They're beautiful images. Some of these are really nice on their own. But again, my goal is to just have it be something AI art generated. It's something I want to make myself. So I'm going to come back here and we're going to export this into. This image is large. It's almost 10,000 pixels on the long edge. So we have a lot of room to edit it. I don't want to work with some little tiny thing. I paid for this camera. I want to use it. So let's just export this. That will pull it into Photoshop and we'll switch our camera. I'm going to change the camera down to the webcam that points down at my desk, which you can then see here. Because I think it's better for you to see what my hands are doing than to see the side of my head. So I'm using an XP Pen tablet here. I used to have a Wacom. I still do. It's in my suitcase. It travels with me because it's smaller than this one, but this is much more reliable. So they sent this to me because they hear me wondering about my Wacom. So that was a nice move. I really like it. Hey, Kathleen, how are you? Thanks for coming in today. And thank you for supporting the channel. Okay, so we got her open in here. I'm actually going to close Capture One. We might come back to that later for colorization, or we might do it in here. I'm not really. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to grab Bridge, and Bridge contains a whole bunch of these things. So all the ones we downloaded, and I have a whole bunch of these that I did. Let's grab. Download. I'm going to grab these and I'm going to drag them into the document and not into the, don't drag them into here because it'll open as separate documents. Drag them here and I'll open them as I do have some from a local Stable Diffusion install that I did as well. But again, I haven't done anything with these. So this is all, we're all experimenting with this at the same time. Drag those in. Well, I just have a whole bunch. I probably don't need this many, obviously. I'm not going to use but maybe one or two, but I don't know which one or two I want yet. So it's all part of the fun, right? Start with. So my first question is, do I love it or do I hate it? I'm going to have to upsize these. A really easy way. All these uploaded here, upsized. Are you serious? What are the odds of that's going to happen during one of these shows? Give me just a moment here. What that means is that my hard drive's full, basically. So I just got to dump some stuff out of it, which is not difficult to do. I have a lot of my client work on here, so it's just a matter of getting rid of that. Anything that I have that I don't need active. In a moment here, and I'll merge a few. These are all on my local hard drive, but obviously I keep other ones that are up on my servers. So we're just looking at deleting stuff that's on my local hard drive. Okay, that should be. Try that again. Takes up space. I'm going to Portland. Well, I forget when I'm going to Portland. When am I going to Portland? Let's go look. If you live in Portland, I'll be there. I leave on the 27th. So if you're in Portland, let's have a beer. I'll be speaking on photography and post-production there. That's most of the time. That's what I'm doing when you catch me out and about. Monster. A giant cup. Takes a bit of time. Portland, Oregon. Yep. Portland. Be there. It's one day of my comedy. Dad jokes. All you can do. Dad jokes. All you can see. Dad jokes. No, we'll be doing photography, lighting, some post-production stuff. We'll probably cover some AI as well. Steve and Dyson, they finally got to a live stream. Love your work, Scott. Have a question. I've tried prompting skin or smoke as skin, but it's not working. Any ideas? Yeah, that's a tough one. I've tried to do some that are like clouds. Try to do skin as clouds. Haven't had a lot of luck there. Translucency appears to be a word that gets me at least farther along that lines. So I've been playing with that idea. Yeah. Oh, Kathleen, 2 hours away. That's awesome. Yeah. So I think it's the Oregon PPA. It might be, or just belongs to the Portland. Not really sure what organization is paying for me to be out there. Photoshop to come back to its sanity here. Oh, geez. Thing is not happy with me right now. It was a bit too aggressive with too many of those. I get really used to my Photoshop running like a kitten and I don't have any problems with it. I don't know of a sudden do this to myself? And it's 21 gig we're taking up right now. Yeah, that might be a little bit of a problem there in Photoshop. You remember over the Oregon PPA? Yes, please check on it. I'll be out there. Yeah, I think translucency is probably one to work with. While I'm just killing my machine here. It always happens when you do live stream that something like this is going to happen. I think I'm almost better off just killing it and starting over again. Since we know what we want to do, I'll just do it with less pieces. Because it is not running well here. Let's just start that again. Sorry about that. No reason to argue with it. I would like to cover some of the Adobe Substance Designer capabilities that are in Photoshop now as well, because I do use that product, and I haven't really covered this on that channel. We've got to find our image in Capture One. Okay, back to where we were a minute ago. I'm going to go back and bridge here and grab less of these. So I'm doing is I'm cherry picking from these here. So I'm just going to kind of look at which ones I like. I'm looking just kind of things that are areas of interest. Like this, grab those, bring those in. So 4 of them instead of 40 of them. More than 4, but a few more. I'm going to upsize these. Hold down my Alt keys bigger. All right, that's a lot more reasonable, I guess. All right, let's start with the top one here. Do we love it? Do we? So what I'm looking for here is, I think, how to get rid of those wings. I mean, I like the wings. They're fine. Can we make them more interesting? And obviously we can, because some of these things are really out there. These two look very similar. They're very similar. One shows more dress. So this is my strategy. I just kind of stack them on top of each other and look at each one and decide if I love it or hate it, if I need something from it, or if it can go away. And I don't need the whole image to be right. Like we can pick and choose our battles here. So I like these. I think we'll keep these bits here. Let's start with this one. So my thought here, first of all, is I'm just going to turn all this off, and we need to select her so that we have something to work from. So I'm just going to use select subject and see how far it gets us. And that works pretty well most of the time. By the way, if you like this kind of a stream, click the like button. It lets me know that this is something you want to see more of, or you don't. It's all good, but it lets me know what I should be doing on this channel. So if you folks want to see more of this type of thing, you gotta let me know that. And that's the internet's way of clapping. So if you like it, let me know. I'm actually going to select and mask this. I'm holding the shift key when I do it though, which brings up the legacy version, which I tend to prefer a little bit more, and see if I can get more separation on the hair here. Much because I don't want to drag these feathers in. I want to make sure that I do get some back of her. You can see I'm not doing a whole lot. I'm not putting a whole lot of effort into getting a super accurate map, because I think what we're going to be doing with this is torturing it a bit anyway. Overly. I want to make sure that I get all pieces of the dress that I look. Try this, and if it doesn't work, we can always come back and change it again. This is non-destructive, so we're not doing anything we can't change. So it's just a rough, very rough pick. Save this off. Done. This is just our primary selection we're going to use for guiding a lot of these things. It's going to change depending on what we're doing, but let's just a place to start. So let's start with this one. I'm going to do is I'll make it 50%, and I'm going to align it manually. I'm not looking for a super accurate manual or a super accurate alignment here. So everyone's like, hey, you could turn it different and move it around. I know there's also commands in Photoshop to align layers, but I don't need them. What I'm doing is very rough. I do want to change a few things about this though. I got to get rid of the C-stand that I was using was in the shot. This happens to me a lot because of the distance I prefer for fall off. And I'm going to use content aware fill on that and just see if that does the majority of the trick. It probably will. Just shift backspace and enter. I use it a lot. This is going to get cropped because we're not going to want her knee in the shot. So at the end, the crop is going to come through here. So I'm not really worried about that part so much. Probably just amend this just a bit. Me. Save while I think about it and that process going. Take a bit. All right, let's go back to this. So what I'm going to do is I want to load in that selection. You can do it the beginner level way, which is you can go up to select, go to load selection, and find it in the list here, right here. Or if you want to be like a pro, you go to channels and just control click on the thumbnail. That's the much faster way because this is actually where it's stored. So it makes you look like more of a pro. You're like, hey, check it out, I'm a pro. Then we're going to hold on the Alt key when we click on the mask, which means it's going to hold and bring in only things that are not masked. If we do it the other way, it does this, which is not handy. Okay, how bad is this? So now we got to go up and figure out what stuff is useful or not useful for our flower background. So our mask is good enough. Like it pulled in a good amount of the leaves and stuff. We do have issues in through here. What we can do is we can paint on this mask. We paint with black. We bring her back. We paint with white. We bring the flowers back. We're just gonna use the X key to toggle back and forth because I'm lazy, and you should be lazy too, right? Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Go and select what you need. Use the right tools. Don't overthink it. No one has seen the beginning one except for us. You know, our little secret club right now. So no one's going to sit there and pick it apart visually because they're not going to be able to see the level of detail that we're modifying. I think people get caught up in trying to overly mask some like each little tiny hair or something like that. No one's going to know. Going around her forearm here a bit. Is it a bit of iffy mask there? I want her hands to be like there. Full and complete. No, but I don't mind that show. That's the feathers behind her. So we could actually benefit from maybe bringing the feathers through here a little bit. So it looks like it's part of a leaf, but we get now a nice perfect mask around her palm there. Could actually do the same trick here. Move these leaves in the way and feathers kind of pulling the majority of the weight for the edge. Don't want to make it look obvious, like in 3D. Obvious. Obviously, I'm doing this super fast because, I mean, if I get stuck in the murkiness of it here, I'll be here for hours, right? Kind of looking here. Again, if you make a mark and you did it the other wrong way, just hit the X key and reverse it. Had the wrong end of the marker down when you mark. So those feathers again, kind of helping us with the edge here a bit. Here's the problem. So if we get rid of, we hit Q, or actually it's a mark above the inner key now. The one above the inner key is the same as Q if you don't have a brush active. Now we can see what we're doing if we need to manipulate the mask manually. Obviously, I want her real hair in through. So if we turn that off, we can see what that looked like. This is with obviously the work of art we had a second ago. We don't need this face. So I think what I might do is get rid of it. We're just going to highlight it and do if we have to rasterize this. Just say to it, just what is this? What's this look like if there were flowers in here, basically? See if we can get a better something to work with, because the other thing is just terrible. Here. This is one of those things I think people don't think about when they're replacing backgrounds, is you don't need what's underneath it. So if you get a better opportunity, get rid of it, right? So now we can bring back in those flowers. They don't have the side of the head that's behind it. Feathers. Although we may have to remove that in another way. There we go. That's okay. Now I might I'll just stamp visible that whole thing, because we don't I don't think we care about what we're going to do with this yet, but we might keep it, we might not keep it. I don't want to make some sort of a commitment to it and not love it. We're just going to get rid of this top area here. I use that content aware fill a lot, if you know. This is super great, easygoing way to get rid of stuff quickly without having to deal with masking. Grab this. And again, we're going to cut the bottom of this image off at some point. I guess we could do it now. I don't like that aspect ratio, so I'm going to change this to like an 8:10. 4:5. That way we can cut the knee off, and we don't have all that space over her head, which is something like this. Much better with that. And I would delete the crop pixels, which will help us with our size of our image, because we are going to run into some space problems. We're at 1.9 gig right now. It's only going to get worse. All right, what about this one? Anything in this image that it brings to the table the other one doesn't have. And that's the game we're going to keep playing here. So let's borrow the mask from this one. There's anything here that we look better. So I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this mask and delete it, and we're just going to put a new mask on it that's just all black, and paint in what we like. Painting with the white here, we can pull in whatever's new. It's like this edge here is icky. We don't like that. So I kind of explore, like in painting, really, this is in painting, right? I'm painting in the image and painting through to see what the other one looks like. Is there any opportunity here for improvement? Or is it just awkward? But up in here. A little bit more in places going on up here. Fill in some of these gaps. Use your black and white to kind of toggle between on or off. Spot up and stick her down in. I think I like it. Alright, well, that's enough of that background. So let's merge these together. How about this one? This one's got lots of little tiny flowery bits flying around in it. That I love, though. More flowers across the front of the dress, much more painterly down through here. I kind of like that aspect of it. Again, I'm just gonna pop a mask onto that and then paint the whole thing down here. I think I like this texture, except for this edge. Icky is a professional term. per body can I? The answer is not very, so I like the outside edge, but I don't like it across your legs that way. Maybe we just borrow this mask. And we can bring back what's underneath here. Yeah, I'm regretting that I didn't fix that earlier. I like the little flowers near that. Kind of what I'm doing here is I'm just letting this, and again, you can use this, that flash key, but the inner key is really helping E. Because we know our bottom mask is good. We're not like hacking off fingers or anything. Alright, so I like that. Let's take this whole thing, flatten this, and I'm not going to flatten. I'm going to go and borrow all of these. I don't want the background to be flattened. I want to keep that. There we go. That's better. Because I oftentimes like to do an alt click on it to see where I came from and what I have now. So it's a kind of a before and after. You guys are a quiet group today. Normally there's a couple chatty Cathys in here, but not today. Me talking to myself. What I'm doing now is I'm choosing content or fill to try and bring in anything here. I don't want to see that. But can't get rid of that. We will just phone stamp in. You can also use the healing brush tool. Over. But you have to be careful with this one because it can actually create patterns, accidental feeding pattern. So I may go back and just kind of pull it up a bit. We're going to change this anyway. There's more that I want to add. Okay. Button. Control R for ruler. Again, if you guys like what you see in here, click that like button so that I know you want me to keep doing these. I do them every Tuesday for sure, around 11:30 Central Time. And I try and do them when I'm actually working on a project and I have no reason to say, hey, I can't show you these. Again, a lot of my clients are women that they're purchasing these images for themselves. So I can't really show the world those. But there's nothing wrong with an image like this where I did it at a convention and speaking it. So big deal there. If we bring this back and let's go back Photoshop. I don't want to, this is a point of jump. You can use a quick application here for doing screenshots. And just save this off somewhere so that I can reference it. It's how I do my quick and dirty ones when I'm going to go into something like this. Because you can't upload a screenshot, which I wish you could. That would be great. But you can't paste a yet. Okay, so let's do the exact same thing. I'm just going to run it again. Max says I'm doing a great job. Well, thank you, Max. I appreciate you typing in the comments. Love that audience participation. Okay, what do we got here? Anything great? I think that we need to tighten up strength a bit. Go to like 60. I think there was a bit too much wildness. And if we can't find something right away, we're going to do is we're going to reach into the bag of never-ending clip art that I have and borrow something. Yeah, I don't love any of these. But, I mean, they're close. They're just not what I want. So let's go grab some textures. So I have a whole bunch of textures that I've had over my lifetime. I think I put a link down below. I normally do when I do a live stream. This is an XP pen, whatever their basic tablet is. I think it's like 79 bucks or whatever, but it's really nice. It's big for its price. I'm not really sure on the price of it, but quite pleased with it. Okay, so I have some leaves in here somewhere. Let's go grab the leaves. I use the leaves a lot. Leaves and feathers, petals. So I have all of them in here, but I didn't name them the same way. Here's petals. So these are big downloads. Just like a 15,000 overlay download. I think I put the link below. Let me check real quick. Yep. Oh, it says interested in the overlays I use. That's where I bought this. And it was like not much, like maybe 30 bucks, but I use these all the time, all the time. All over. I'm looking for just overlays here. I'm going to throw on here. Let's do bubbles. Why would you ever use bubbles? Falling petal photo overlays. Let's go in here. White petals. Let's go back and use pink petals so I can see what I'm doing here. There we go. This will work great. I'm just going to grab like this overlay here and drag us into Photoshop here. And what I'm doing is I just want to add a little bit of something to the image to give it a little bit more interest. I don't want it to be just that background. Now these don't match, and I don't really worry about that right now. Have I tried pixels? Find a very good realistic basis. I have not. I tend to just use my own photos for that kind of thing. So most of the time I'm not really worried about realisticness of the faces. So what I'm doing now is I just need to color match this. I'm going to turn the color all the way up so I can see what I'm doing. Kind of get it about the same. Kind of drop it down so it fits. I want it to look a little bit more like it belongs. So the darker you get, the more the saturation. Just for a little bit of interest. Not much. We don't need a ton. And I can use my mask from before or my overlay on here. So I'm just going to throw that on here and say don't put it on her. So it just puts it in the background, little bits and pieces. This is all this is doing. Simple. But this is the type of thing that adds visual interest to images that make it feel more like it's got harmony together. So I tend to do these, and a few of them. I don't tend to do just one. I tend to think that the more work you can do against the entire image, the better it's going to look when it's done, because it'll start to feel more cohesive. Let's see if any of these are deep. These might be a bit aggressive. And again, you can use your own photos of leaves and stuff. I actually have quite a few petals that I have shot over the years. Because whenever my big crabtree blooms here, we go out and we take shots of it. But I don't need a very accurate thing. Again, how much of this am I going to use? Not a lot. Just throw this on the top here. See if it helps. Again, we don't want to, if we aren't going to make ourselves use it. That's the other thing. Be prepared to abandon ship. If it sucks, don't keep forcing it, right? So another hue and saturation adjustment. And again, we can alt drag this up here and apply over. And then I can go and actually continue masking it with a black pen and just say, well, these leaves here are stupid. Sticking up. Yeah, it's just a lot more interesting to look at. No, I do definitely. The other thing we have to be careful of is they're not too sharp. Like this looks pretty sharp. So I'm going to rasterize this here, and we're going to just grab the blur tool. Just kind of blur over the leaves that might be just a bit too sharp. So that I would go around the whole image to every. I usually zoom into 100% and go around the whole image and see if there's anything weird. It jumps out to me. Like they look better when they're blurred. They just tend to fit back where they're supposed to be. Rather than blurring all of them, and yes, I could do that in 3 seconds, just take your time and do it the right way. Instead of trying to make every process a quick process, just take a second and do it the right way. Better. Pretty good. Hit save since I'm thinking about it. Every time it goes off in my head, I'm like, oh, I should hit save. I just hit save. All right, this layer here, with these little bits here, I kind of want it to, let's put that in a folder. I think I might want to duplicate this one again. Double that up. Is that helpful if I put it on the very top? Don't like. Maybe even on. No goofy leaves allowed. All right, maybe one more. Just to kind of bring it. But instead of doing leaves, let's do a texture. Because I do these textures. So if you are a supporter of this channel, you get access to a whole bunch of textures I have painted over the years. Part of my thank you for you supporting the channel. Speaking of which, let's throw that up. Here are all the people that are contributing at the higher ends. So I'd have a lot of sponsors and supporters for the channel, and a lot of people that are helping there, and that I love that. And you guys all get the textures, not the dollar ones, but not the supporters, but the other ones above that. But these fine folks here are the ones who are doing the heavy lifting for everybody. So I really appreciate you guys. You're really helping me out a lot to keep things going, because that's what the channel needs here. All right, I was going to look for. So we're just going to go into the YouTube Professional. This is what you get if you're at the professional level. You get all these textures here. I'm just going to grab one. And I've made all these. Most of these are hand painted from a Corel Painter. So grab, I think, like, I make two versions. One that's textured. See if you notice, it's got a texture, almost like it's painted on there. And then the other one is the flat version, which I've kind of stopped making the textured ones. In truth, I never use them. I always avoid them. So I was like, I'm just going to stop making them. And nobody has said boo about it. I'm just going to grab this one. And again, I want to borrow, I don't want it over her, so I'm going to go and go to channels, control on it, load it on top of here. Then change the blending mode. Interesting. Probably going to go to overlay or soft light, but I'm going to look at all of them and see if they're working. Looking for things that inspire me. Divide's kind of interesting. Not super helpful. Green must be clear too. Yeah, I don't think I like that. Let's try one more modification of it. Put it in, and let's apply it only to the brightest areas of it. Just to see underlying it. Never remember the order ever. Yeah, that's nice. All right, let's color grade it now. I'm just gonna probably use let's do a gradient map today. That's a fun way to go in here and say I'm gonna turn the visibility of this layer off while I'm working on it, by the way, so it's disturbing. I'll go here, and I think bottom color we'll put like maybe this green. Not pick up. There we go. Color and one is blue. And we need going to apply it, I think, using Okay. I think rather than do it that way, I think I'm just going to take the opacity of it down. Brings it up a bit. So again, it doesn't have to dominate, but it adds a little bit of something. Let's do a curve. Change our curve type. Yeah, like this one. I'm going to lift the black a little bit. It's just something I like. I don't like this pure black as one. Something like that. Save on that. Okay, so we started here. And I just shot her in front of a white curtain that was in the corner of the studio when I was speaking. It was a lighting demonstration, so it wasn't very thrilling. But one of the ladies who's hosting it had these fabulous wings that are made of feathers. These are expensive. I have one set at the studio. These are $1,400 each or so. So they're obviously coveted, but they're very useful, especially depending on the type of clientele you're trying to attract. We don't attack clientele. Attract clientele with these wings, then you're going to attract a better upper scale client because they know these things cost a lot of money. You're not getting these off eBay for $100. These are $1,400 easily. So that's the ending result image. And I think it's more interesting. Again, I'm just trying to do something playful and demonstrate to you that you can take an image that you photograph and then use AI to augment or improve it. Now, I think this is an improvement. Like, I really like this a lot better than the one we had. There's nothing wrong with this picture, right? It's well lit. It's sharp. She's beautiful. The pose is nice. There's nothing to complain about. So if this is the image you handed your client, that's great. I don't think that anyone will complain. But if you hand them this image, I think you have a much better chance of selling a very large canvas that could go on a wall. Now, if we're going to do a large canvas, obviously we're gonna change some stuff. Yeah, we cannot sell a large canvas with just the quick run we did here. We'd have to go back and make a much more purposeful maneuver toward our masking to make sure that everything is done well. We don't want to do a super quick or super soft mask in a lot of places. And I talked about being really rough about it because no one's seen the before image, and you can get away with a lot in here. But just be aware that when you do try and give these to clients, and they're going to be big canvases, you can't leave little tiny nuances that are wrong. Zoom in at 100%, maybe in 200%. Make sure you go around every square inch of that canvas for dust spots or anything else that might be stupid obvious. Oh, I didn't see it. Now you printed it, and now you have to reprint it. That's never good. But we're going to be starting our own AI competition here pretty soon. I keep putting it off because I was traveling a bunch. And I'm back now for, as I say, till the end of the month. Then I'm gone, and then I'll be back again pretty quick. It's only an overnight. But the airport on either side of that means a couple days. But we're going to do our own AI art competition, and I'm looking for theme ideas. So if you have a theme idea on something you think would be a great idea, let me know. And we're going to do AI art, but I'm not going to close it down and say you can't augment whatever you do. Like, that's not my goal. It's not the goal of this channel, right? We're not just doing AI art and calling it done. We want to modify it further. So that's open to modification. So if you have ideas on a theme, throw it down below, and I'm open-minded. We have sponsors and people who are going to give us prizes to put on this thing. So it's not just bragging rights, actual physical prizes. So the biggest one right now I have is from H&H Color Lab, whose I use for all my client work. So H&H is going to give us the ability for you to get your artwork printed as a big canvas or a big metal. So that's pretty cool. And now if you're into it, people talk about selling their artwork and just kind of putting it out there. When you are serious about this at some point, you're going to want to do a gallery. So finding an art gallery that will carry your work is not difficult. You can walk into most of them and say, this is what I have. And they're going to say, okay, we're booking about a year out. So on this date, you'll bring all your work in. And you'd be like, what do you mean bring in all my work? You remember, you have to print everything you're going to sell. So there is an investment. And that's the thing that people don't think about when they're like, oh, I want to hang my stuff in an art gallery. Can you produce 14 to 30 pieces of printed artwork the size that you think is going to sell? And that could be from small, because a lot of people maybe don't have a lot of wall space but love your art, and they're going to buy a smaller piece. But then you have people who have a very large open wall and are looking for something to fill it, and they love your work, and they're willing to drop $8,000 to $10,000 on a piece. You have to make an investment in getting all that stuff printed first before you can go to the gallery. Most of the time when I show in a gallery, I sell about half. So about half of that is going to go back into inventory, and then the next gallery showing, hopefully something moves. But you're making your money from the half that's selling, hopefully covering your print cost. And then remember, the gallery also takes between 30 and 50% of what's being shown. So it's expensive to do one, but it's really fun. I try and do one a year, but I didn't do one during the COVID year. So I'm pushed off till November. And I think it's November next year. I don't think it's coming up because that bad. Like, I think I have enough printed pieces now. I could probably get through it, but I really don't want to. Not yet. Not with all this thing running the way that it is right now. I'm really excited for trying it out, but it'll be new. Anyway, that's all I got for everybody today. So it's my Tuesday morning, 11:30 Central Time. We'll do a live stream here. Usually photography oriented with now, heavy Photoshop and AI as part of that. This channel is shifting a bit from being just Capture One because I consider myself more of a visual person and not just a photographer. So anything to do with visual arts will be probably part of this channel at some point. So getting into Substance Designer more, and then getting into Blender. I do a lot of Blender as well, but again, that's a completely different animal, and I don't want people to be drowning in that. And there's a lot of good Blender channels on YouTube, but we're definitely going to do that. Plus, I'm going to have my random laser. I have a laser cutter, and I've been playing with it a lot, and I want to do a couple videos on that. So hopefully that won't bug you guys when you see that laser thing pop up, and you're like, what is this guy doing? But yeah, if you have ideas for a theme, throw them down below. I would love to hear your ideas. And again, it's going to be probably a maybe a two-week competition. And I actually have real photography judges that are going to be judging this. So it's not going to be just me picking or everyone picking for, their favorite. There'll be probably a viewer's favorite or public favorite, but I have 5 different print competition judges that have said they will volunteer their time to look through the entries and figure out which ones win. So I'm excited for that. So anyway, everybody, thanks for joining me today. I'm glad to be back. And as I say, look for a lot more videos from me in the next couple of weeks because I'll be busy. But everybody take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you all next time.